In the previous video, we looked at this TCR 260. This is a very popular shape right now, the kind of X where it's a little bit squished this way, but this is a really popular frame. A lot of people are flying these, and a lot of people will buy the 6-inch arms just like this, and then they'll run 5-inch propellers on it. And they'll even run tri-blade 5-inch propellers like the 5045 tri-blades from Dow, and they have serious luck with this frame. Well, today we're going to be looking at the Martian 6-inch. It's a 255mm frame. And this actually came from Banggood, and on here it says Martian 6-inch frame. So this is not a alien frame, and that's actually called a Martian, and there are distinct differences between them, although they look very, very similar. One of my friends has an alien frame, and I was able to look at it this past weekend, and it looks really close, but you can tell if you are familiar with either one, you can tell when the one you're looking at is not the one that you're familiar with. Anyway, inside here it comes with the plates, arms, spacers, more support things, screws, and a power distribution board. Let me get this stuff laid out and we'll take a little closer look at it. So here are all the parts laid out. One of the big differences that I noticed immediately was this. On the Alien, this is more of a true X shape to it, and it doesn't look like this, but that was one of the big differences. The other difference was that this has purple spacers, and I don't think the Alien that my friend had purple spacers. It may have come with them, but he may have changed them, but I don't think they were. And also, this is the power distribution board, and I'm not sure if this looks exactly the same as the Alien frame or not, but anyway, this is not an Alien, it's a Martian frame. This is the arm off the TCR 260, and because I know the question's gonna come up, are these arms interchangeable? No, they are not. The whole pattern on them is just slightly different, and they won't fit on the other frames. So don't expect to use these on a TCR 160 or these on a Martian. On the TCR 160, some of the holes were a little rough. Well, all of these holes look near perfect. The only thing I could find on here that is of questionable quality, I guess, is really just this edge. You can kind of see a little bit of nicks along here, but this is getting really picky. But yeah, that's about the only really bad part of these cuts I could find on these arms. I mean, they don't look perfect, but they don't have the burrs like the other arms did. One thing worth noting about this frame is that it has these two holes over here for your positive and negative on the XT60 connector. Well, you have to have your own XT60 connector, and it just solders on right there onto the power distribution board directly. Just make sure you get the negative to the negative. And then when you put your top plate on, it'll sit like this, and that gives you full access to plug your battery down into there from up above. And the advantage of that is you don't have a dangling power cord coming out the back, you know, that has the potential of getting chopped up in the propellers. And if you have your battery strap here, you run your wire through the strap and then down into there, and then you have no problem with it getting chopped up by the propellers either. So here it is fully assembled, the Martian 260. And like I was showing before, you're gonna have plenty of space here to put your XT60 connector here and have your wire run down beside the frame. And here's a 6-inch propeller. I'll just go ahead and show you this real quick. And you can see here, if I center it over this hole, there's like no chance it's gonna hit any wires inside here that are connected up to your battery. Same thing coming from the front. I mean, as long as you keep it semi-close in here, it's not going to get caught in the propellers, and that's going to be real nice. It also gets rid of all the extra weight of having that having the two wires come out the back, which that doesn't really add a lot of weight, but anything you can save off would definitely help. It came with the little spacers in here, and you can put your flight board right here and put this up on top of it. And then I think this is an extra little platform they gave you so you could mount up, put that up on top of your power distribution board, and then mount stuff directly to the board, like your receiver or whatever else you wanted to. Put it on this board and try to keep the weight more centered. There's plenty of space back here in the back and up above for mounting your video transmitter or your receiver, so you got a lot of room on this frame. Here again with the 6-inch propeller, you can see how it clears this middle plate there just fine. It's not going between the plates, which is always a plus. It's staying outside. And here's a 5-inch propeller, and you can see how this thing would look really small spinning around on this arm. Now, believe me, if you get the tri-blades, they're going to be fast. I know, because I lost to some of them in the races that we just had. So let's go ahead and get some measurements off of this. These arms are coming in about 3 millimeters exactly, and 3.1 millimeters. This top plate comes in about 151, 1.5. This bottom plate comes in about 1.5 as well. And the, well, I can't get to the other thing. But, but it has that little piece of fiberglass that goes in here between the power distribution board and the carbon fiber. And that's just to help it keep from shorting out to the carbon fiber, which is a very big plus because you don't want to have your motors smoking because you shorted them. Let's take a look at how tall this is because I didn't do that. This inside here between the upper and lower plates comes in at 35 millimeters. So again, you got plenty of space inside this frame. Some people say you really need 4 millimeter arms for 6-inch props because they'll bend a little and they'll flex a little. Well, on here, let's see, these flex a little bit. I mean, let's see if I can send a frame for you. I'm seeing a little bit of flex, but I don't know if that's really enough to make the propellers scoot up and hit this frame. I mean, they're still a good distance away. And even if it bends up, I mean, it's not going to bend too much into the frame. I really don't think you'd have any problems running 6-inch props. If you're worried about it, you could probably buy some 6-inch replacement arms and use those instead. So here's the whole frame assembled, and on the scale, it comes in about 141.4 grams. The included page that came with it says the radius here is 255 millimeters. So if I take my ruler here and I kind of measured up in the center of this arm, scoot over here, the total comes up to be about 250, well, 255, really, 256. Wow, kudos to them, they got it right. 255 millimeters for this frame. So here I'll go ahead and put this next to the qav-r clone here, the TCR260, and you can see that, well, let me back up a little more. You can see they look pretty similar. They both have this kind of squished X look to them, and this one looks a little longer, but I think it's just because it has these extra holes out here and kind of looks like little squid arms or something hanging off the end. I think that makes it look a little bit different. And then this one has more of a rounded arm, so makes them look different, I guess. But again, just like the other one, this has the holes cut in here for 2200 size motors. You're not going to fit your 1806 motors, your 1300 motors on here, your 1306 motors. They're going to have the wrong spacing and they won't fit in these holes. These frames are designed to run 6-inch props, so that's the kind of, you're going to need motors that can spin 6-inch props. Not that 1806 motors can't, they just can't spin it as well as some 2200 motors can. In my video about the TCR260, I asked people which one they thought I should build between these two, and a lot of people have really said this one, and a few people said this one because it looks a lot cooler. Now, I will grant it, this thing looks a lot cooler. It has a red power distribution board in there, and these little funky things on the arms make it look kind of cool. But this one having the smaller body on it, I think is going to be a little bit better build than this one just because of the smaller body. So this is the Martian 260 frame. I think this is an excellent frame. If you're looking at building with this one, I don't think you're gonna have many disappointments. You got plenty of space inside. You got thick arms up here. In fact, I was even gonna, real quick, measure how wide these arms are because I got asked that before. 18 millimeters wide. Yeah, I think this would be a great frame to build out. Beginner frame, you know, I think it'd be fine too. I wouldn't be scared of running some 5-inch props on here though. I think the 5-inch props would kind of slow this down if you're just learning to fly, and you would be fine with this frame. And then you can step up to 6-inch props or just step up to some 3-blade 5-inch props, and you'd probably just get just as much fun out of that. The only problem with 6-inch blades is that you're hanging off a 1/2 inch wider here and a 1/2 inch wider off to the left side here. And so when you go through gates, you're an inch wider than, than you probably need to be if you're, or you would be if you were flying 5-inch props. Anyway, the Martian 260 frame. If you have any questions about this, please leave in the comments and I'll try to help you out as best I can. And as always, thanks for watching.